Hello, my name is Crystal Comber, and I'm the CEO of SlipTrade.net. In this presentation, I'm going to explain to you more in depth on the trend analysis concept that I introduced in the previous 3 videos for Forex. Now, this part is pretty cool because by adding RSI and the MACD to this concept, you can also grab some great trades on the Nadex platform. All right, so let me go ahead and explain here. Before we get started, I do have to read through a small disclaimer. I'm not going to read through the entire thing, so feel free to pause the video and read through the entire disclaimer. But when trading Nadex, IG, Forex, or binary options, as with any financial asset, there's a possibility that you may sustain a partial or total loss of your investment funds. As a result, it is advised that you should never invest with or trade upon money which you cannot afford to lose. Trading involves a real risk of loss, and past performance does not ensure future results. So let's get started. What is RSI? RSI is Relative Strength Index. It is an indicator that detects the momentum and compares the magnitude of recent gains to recent losses of an asset. The recent gains and losses are many times referred to as overbought and oversold. And the equation that RSI uses is RSI equals 100 minus 100 divided by 1 plus RS. Okay? And RS is equal to the average of a certain amount of days up closes and divided by the average of, or excuse me, RS is the average of a certain amount of days up closes versus average of a certain amount of days down closes. So why use the RSI? By adding the RSI along with the MACD, this can really help to ensure some solid trades. I found that the combination of these two sets up some beautiful until expiry Nadex trades. And using with the trend analysis concept that I explained in my previous videos, you can also take on Forex. And this also just gives an extra added indication that yes, the price is going this way, or no, it's not. You know, wait for a better entry, or wait for a better indication. It may not be a better entry, but it'd be a solid indication. So what you're looking for in the RSI is for the line to break the 70 or 30. And I'll show this to you more in depth on my own charts. But when it breaks the 70, it's basically saying it's overbought. Right? When it breaks the 30, it's oversold. Right? And there's going to be a reversal. When that occurs is something that you're going to want to back test, and you're going to want to learn about it. You're going to want to demo. All right? When using it with the MACD, you have a lot better indication of knowing that yes, the price really is going to change direction at this point. So as far as the Nadex entry, what you'd want to do is place the order on Nadex to sell at the top of the candle when the line enters back into the 70, or buy at the bottom of the candle that re-entered back into the RSI 30. All right, and you want to choose a top of the hour trade. Now I'm going to show you more in depth here, like I said, on my own charts. Let me go ahead and switch over to those right now. So here is my Thinkorswim setup. I know in the previous 3 videos, I showed you what I did on MetaTrader 4. Thinkorswim is very similar, but some people can use MetaTrader 4, some can use Thinkorswim. So I would like to show you both. And if you look in the post that I have this video on the website, SlipTrade.net, you're going to see a screenshot, and it's going to have it's going to have some of these on it. So what I want to explain to you is, first of all, let's just kind of start here and go back. First, we have right here, you'll see that when the RSI is in within the 70 and 30 lines, it stays this kind of gray color, right? And when it reaches or gets very close to, touches the 30 line, this bottom line, it changes color. On mine, it changes to blue. And when it reaches or breaks through the 70, it changes to red, right? So overbought and oversold. So what I want to show is with Nadex, if you trade both Nadex and Forex, this is just a great way to add some extra trades to your day. And what you want to look at here is, okay, on this candle, price reached down to the 30 line, and then it came back up. Now, when price re-enters, it re-entered on this candle, what you would have done normally is placed a buy on Nadex at the strike price here. According to the trend analysis concept, as far as Forex, when you saw the 7 and 14 cross, you would have placed a buy here. Well, it would have been after the formation of this candle. But again, that's when you would have placed it. Now, the only problem with this trade here, the reason I would not have taken this one on Nadex is two reasons. One, this is a pretty decent sized candle. And I doubt that at 4:45 in the morning, or 4:45 to 5, that there would have been a good price. Now, maybe there would have been. I could be totally incorrect on this. But I don't believe that choosing this strike right here would have had a good price to buy at. The second reason is because if you look at the MACD, it's still showing red down here, all right? It actually showed, there wasn't much movement. This was all during the Asian session. There's never much movement during the Asian. And you don't really see anything happen until the London breakout, which was at this time. So you see it headed to the downside. You don't actually see it headed to the upside until right around there. Well, I guess right there you see exhaustion. Instead of it being bright red, it's now like a darker red. So you're seeing some exhaustion in price at that point. Okay, so you could have taken this on Nadex and won. You could have waited until you saw the exhaustion, and that would have been on this candle, so you could have bought here along with the Forex trade. So technically, you could have entered two right there for buys and either hit a take profit order on Nadex or let it expire at 6 a.m. because this was at 5:15. So it obviously would have expired in the money, and you could have gained full profit. But again, since the MACD did not actually match at this point, I wouldn't have taken this on Nadex. I would have only taken it on Forex at this cross. Let's scroll back a little bit more. Here is one that I would have taken on actually this is one that I took. This was last night. I took a Nadex trade and a Forex trade on this. And I don't suggest taking Forex trades when we're in this afternoon volume because there isn't much volume in the afternoon. I did, however, take one on each. And at this point, my take profit order on Forex was hit. So when I woke up to some money, and that's great. I do occasionally do that, but I set those to 20 pips and for a take profit order, 20 pips, and just, let it ride and get out, okay? Because a lot of the time, just like in this case, you're going to see a reversal back up. depending on where global trend is though as well. But on this one, on this trade, as far as Nadex goes, price re-entered on this candle. As far as the RSI, we almost were to a cross on the MACD. And here we saw major exhaustion and headed to the downside on the MACD. So what happened was price went down. I believe I chose a strike price right about there. I think I chose 5240 or 5260. I cannot remember honestly. But I put in a working order on Nadex for $35. And on this candle, my Nadex order filled, the working order. And as soon as that filled, I went ahead and I set another working order to buy at $20 profit per contract. So that actually did reach it before the 7 p.m. expiry. And so I took 20 profit per contract instead of 35, but that's okay. I am a person that I like to just take profit if you can just take profit versus letting things go until expiry. I know you can make a lot more. That's okay. I'd rather be safe than losing money though. If we go back a little further here, so this right here, like I said, this was a beautiful example of a Nadex entry, and I did enter on Forex as well. But again, it wasn't for 50 or 100 pips; it was for 20 pips, and nothing happened until early in the morning. So I mean, it was hours before it hit the take profit, but it did. Here we see that the price is oversold at this point, and it exited and then it re-entered on this candle. I would not have taken this trade for two reasons. Excuse me. One, the MACD is headed down. Two, the 7 and 14 have already crossed to the downside. They did not cross back up to the upside during this part. So I just wouldn't have taken it on either one. It's just a trade to avoid. Here, excuse me, this would have been a winner, but it barely left. Right. So it left here, re-entered here. The MACD, though, is showing that price wants to go up ultimately, and excuse me, like I said, it would have won if you chose to sell this at the top of the hour, but I would not have taken this trade. Here, we re-enter. Sorry, my mouse isn't moving. Okay. So right here, here we left. During this candle. Here, we re-entered. You see exhaustion. And it's headed down. So what you would have done is you would have chose a sell from this strike price here. And obviously that would have won. Would not have taken that on Forex because I was already actually in a buy position from, let's see here, it was, I can't remember where I entered. I had already hit a take profit order though on this in a buy position. I can't remember if I entered here or if it was a little bit later on. But either way, it had hit my take profit at that point, and I wasn't going to sell against it because we had all three moving averages crossed to the upside at this point. So, excuse me, I would not have taken that on the Forex side at least. I would have taken the sell on the Nadex side. Let's see here. So we leave here. We don't really re-enter there. We semi-ideally come up back up to the 30 line. But the MACD is still showing a down trend, so you still would have waited. Here we re-enter, still showing a downtrend on the MACD. And here, finally, on this one, we re-enter, and we have exhaustion here. We don't have across the upside yet, but we have exhaustion. So this would have been, if you could have gotten a good price. That was a pretty decent sized candle. If you would have gotten a good price, though, you could have done a buy and won on Nadex very well. Also, you have a cross to the upside on the 7 and 14. So you could have also done a Forex entry and probably taken profit, depending on what you sent what you set your TP orders to. You probably would have hit a TP there, a TP there. Everybody trades with different take profit orders, so that's something to look at. Here is an example I wanted to show you guys too. This will be the last one that I show you, but keep back testing. This is on the GU, GBP USD, and you know, feel free to check this out and look at different currency pairs. Look at you can look at indices and commodities. I've used this concept on the Germany 30, the S&P 500, and gold, and it also works very well for that too. But let me show you one last example. So price leaves the RSI barely here, re-enters, leaves barely here, re-enters. At this point, you could have, that was at 345, yeah, you couldn't have actually, so that was 345 before, so that wouldn't have worked. And the MACD is headed up, so you still wouldn't have entered that. Here we have a strong trend up. You could have been in a Forex trade. Actually, probably, if I was awake, probably would have entered the buy here. But if you saw it happen here, you could have entered a buy position on Forex. But as far as Nadex, you would have waited until here, which is where you would have exited Forex, and with a cross to the downside, you could have re-entered a sell on Forex, and you have the re-entry into the RSI on this candle. You have the cross on the 7 and 14. You have the cross on the MACD. You have exhaustion. You're all set. This is a beautiful trade, and you could have chose a strike price here for a sell on Nadex, chose to take profit or let it expire in the money. If you notice, it didn't reach that price until, gosh, the next day around the same, actually later, the next day later in the day. So you could have chose to go to expiry on Nadex. You could have just done a take profit order. Forex, you could have entered a sell and taken profit here, or even just let it continue to ride. If you notice, it came up to the 31, came up to the 31, keeps going back down until you actually have your full cross again to the upside. So there's just a few examples. Like I've said before, members of Slick Trade, they do get more in-depth videos, obviously, and you know, a little bit more. They get the workspace setups and everything else, but you can easily set this up on your Thinkorswim or MetaTrader 4. Like I said, I have the RSI I have the MACD, and I have 3 moving averages on here, and the Heikin-Ashi candles. So if you right click, you go to Studies, you go to Edit Studies, and I've got DEMA 31.14.7 in the price box. In the first lower quadrant, I have the RSI 14.70.30, and I have in the lowest quadrant the MACD 12.26 and 9, and I set this to simple always. So you can easily set that up and be good to go. And with the free, public videos that I give you all, there's plenty of trade opportunities and solid setups that you'll see. So you guys have a good one, and I will see you soon, I'm sure.